Hey everybody, it's Rusty Paap with Paap Properties of Intero Real Estate Services, and I just wanted to shoot like a really quick video here, kind of impromptu, talking about what's going on in the real estate market here in Silicon Valley. It's definitely an interesting time in the market. We've definitely, seen some shifts, kind of in the buyer's favor to some degree in terms of how long homes are taking to sell, how much competition is out there per property, and what the prices are ultimately closing at. It's definitely different than it was a couple of months ago. One of the things that I think that I've found, I'm very fortunate. I've been able to do a fair amount of business. I've sold about 50 homes in the last 12 months, and they've been all over the place in terms of the Silicon Valley. They're not just concentrated in one area, which gives me a unique perspective on what's going on in the market, both what has happened over the last year, in addition to what's happening right now. And hopefully that gives me some insight and ability to make some predictions about what's going to happen. One of the things that I think is most interesting about this particular market is really confusion. And it's showing up the way that buyers are acting and reacting, also the way that sellers are acting and reacting, which is causing a little bit of confusion in the market, which then ultimately means houses will sell less quickly if people are not certain about what's going on. So just to give you the straight statistics of the marketplace right now, one of the things that we always want to look at is inventory levels and then also buyer demand. Here in the Silicon Valley, there's really buyer demand all the time. Even in the foreclosure market during the last recession, we still had a lot of demand for homes. Obviously there was too many listings for sale, a lot of bank-owned homes and things selling to investors for cash, which drove down prices. But that being said, buyers wanted to buy at that time, and it's no different now. In fact, it's only intensified as our economy has gotten stronger, especially with the job market being as strong as it is here in Silicon Valley. To make a long story short, we have currently about 1,495 homes for sale in the entire county. And when I say that, I mean single-family homes, townhomes, and condos combined from Gilroy to Palo Alto. It's not a lot of homes for sale. However, it's about double what it was 2.5 months ago. So that is a ballooning of the inventory. Again, it's still a low level. There's still not enough homes for the buyers that are out looking. However, it feels a lot like the market has shifted as a result of this higher inventory. What I would say is that there's still very strong buyer demand, and the market is actually still hot, and it is still a seller's market, meaning sellers still have an advantage because there's less homes for sale than buyers who want to purchase homes. But it's kind of like the market was like a jacuzzi that was overheated at 105, 106 degrees, and then we've all moved out of the jacuzzi and jumped into a heated pool that's about 95 degrees, which is still pretty darn hot, but it feels cold by comparison. So I think that's what's causing part of the confusion. So let's break that down a little bit. One of the things that I'll say is that this extra inventory has caused buyers to feel like they have more options, which they do. So that's a good thing for buyers, but it also means that homes will sell a little less quickly. It also means that maybe the prices won't be quite as high as the prices were 2 months ago. So the market has cooled in that way, but what's really interesting that I think not a lot of people are talking about is where did all this inventory come from? And the obvious answer is that summertime is always an increase in inventory. Every year the number of homes for sale goes up in the summertime, starting in May sometimes, starting in June sometimes, but always in the summer. And that's because most people believe that the best time to sell your house is during the summer. It's an old perception that's based on when school starts, and buyers will be looking more aggressively before school starts. The truth is that if everybody thinks that, then inventory goes up, which actually causes the opposite effect, right? It makes it not as good a time to sell in many cases. Also, in our market, because spring and early spring and late winter are so hot, buyers have been really beat up over a 6-month period trying to find a home. Sometimes they give up by the time summer rolls around, or they go on vacation because they're just like, I need a break. And it's a natural time to take a break during the summertime. So we always see this, right? In addition to that, we really didn't have that slowdown as much last year. And so we kind of didn't take that natural breath that the market needs in order to kind of recalibrate. We didn't have it last year, so it's almost like we're taking 2 breaths this year, again causing the feeling of a lot slower market. And then in addition to that, because we didn't have it, we just had 18 months of straight hot market all the way around the calendar. The prices went up so much that everybody's expectations, especially current homeowners that want to sell, is that the prices are just going to keep going up and up and up, which causes this problem where we have a bunch of sellers on the market today that only want to sell at what I call fantasy land prices that they perhaps could have gotten in April or early May or even late May, but they're probably not going to get today with inventory at the level that it's at. So those sellers are then listing their homes for sale, and sometimes $200,000 or $300,000 under what the comparable sales say it's worth, so under market, and yet they're not getting offers that are at the level that they want. So for an example, I've had some experiences with my buyers where they've written offers $200,000 over the list price, and the sellers won't accept it, which means kind of in a way that those aren't even really for sale, because if those sellers don't get what they want, they're going to take them off the market. And I started making this prediction about 2 or 3 weeks ago with my buyers, like, hey, some of these listings feels like we have a lot of choices, but in reality, some of these aren't going to sell unless you give them, a fantasy land price, and you're not going to do that, and no one's going to do that, so they're going to not sell. And that's what we're seeing. In fact, in the last 10 days, we've had 118 listings withdraw, cancel, or expire, which is a huge number. If you divide that into the current inventory, that's about 8% of listings in the county canceled in the last 10 days. So that kind of shows you that there's a bunch of sellers that I would call almost like fake inventory that doesn't even really exist, because you're going to look at it, but you're actually not going to be able to make an offer that's going to satisfy the seller, and therefore it really isn't even an option. So that, I think, is giving buyers a false sense of options, which has caused them to wonder about what's going on in the market, which slows things down a little bit. And then the other thing that I'm finding is that things were selling so much and so fast and so high over the list price that buyers began to expect it. And then we started seeing some of these sale prices close at levels that were up the next tier, like something that was maybe going to sell for $1.25 million after 6 months of great hot market. We had it go up to $1.5 million in value. Those houses were originally listed at $999 and selling for $1.25, $1.3, $1.4, and then $1.5. And sellers and listing agents were like, look, if we're going to get $1.5 for this house, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to list it at $999 anymore. We should probably list it at $1.299, for example. And then what happened is that the buyers think, well, everything's selling for so wildly over asking that they don't even make an offer on that house when they maybe could have gotten it at a price even lower than the last comp. Had that experience with some of my listings where they're listed at a good price compared to the latest comp, but buyers don't want to pay that high of a price, so they don't bother. So a lot of things going on that are causing buyers to be a little bit confused. And then one of the things that is also of note is that not every realtor really knows what's going on either. Like I said, I've been very blessed. I've sold about 50 homes in the last 12 months. Not every agent has that kind of perspective on the market. A lot of them actually sell maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 houses per year, and therefore their knowledge base is maybe a little bit closer to a consumer than a professional. And what happens is buyers then go into open houses and talk to these agents, and the agents say, the market slowed down. They don't have any statistics to back it up. They don't really know so much what's really going on, and therefore they perpetuate this idea that the market's slowing down. And if everybody keeps saying that over and over and over, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because if everybody thinks that, then word spreads, and then people don't take action, and then what happens? The market actually does slow down. So it's like a combination of all these crazy things that are going on right now. But I think the summary of it all is this. I think one is that a lot of these listings that are priced maybe low or priced at what looked like market or whatever the case may be, they're going to cancel. So that inventory is going to go away. In addition, as summer goes on, homes are going to sell, and inventory is going to be affected by that. And then new ones are going to come on more likely at a slower pace than they're selling, which is most likely going to drive the inventory back down again, which will increase the competition of the buyers again, which goes back in the favor of sellers. Now, this is a prediction that I'm making. I could be wrong. There might be a whole bunch of sellers that are very reasonable that are going to all put their houses on the market over the next 2 or 3 months. But just based on history the last 6 years, based on the economy here in Silicon Valley and everything else, I feel like we're going to either stay where we're at inventory-wise for a couple of months, or it's actually going to get more in the seller's favor, meaning inventory is going to go down. So just predictions, definitely don't have a crystal ball here, but that's kind of my feeling on the market right now. If you have questions about it and you want some more details specifically within the area that you're looking or within the area that you're thinking about selling, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. please give me a call or send me a text message at the number on the screen, and I would be excited to share what I know and what I think about the market at any time. Thanks a lot.